Hi, this is Dodger, and you're watching my show.
3, 2, 1, ready, go!
I am so excited about how Box Talk is doing. Thank you all so much for your feedback. Whew. I have wanted to make that show for so long, and we finally just buckled down and filmed a few episodes of it, and I'm waiting. I was waiting to film more because I wanted to hear some feedback. You know, I didn't want there to be some aspect of it that was horrible, and everybody's like, don't ever do this again, and we're like, but we filmed 10 of them, right? But we do have a couple that have already been filmed, and it's just awesome. It's so cool to see everybody be like, the show is great, you and Sam are great. So if you haven't watched Box Talk yet, please check it out. Apparently it's funny, so that's pretty cool. It's basically, it's a show where Sam and I open up different subscription boxes every episode and see what's in them, and we won't take money for them, and we won't accept them for free, and we won't share affiliate codes. So we're as unbiased, like financially, as we can be, and it's really fun. It's really, really fun, and I hope you guys continue to enjoy it. So that's my plug for my new show. Please go watch it. And in the meantime, let's do some gaming news. So for our first piece of news, there's a little kid. I saw like 3 different places that do gaming coverage talk about this, and I was like, it's just so cute. I just want to mention it just really briefly too. There's a little kid who got in trouble at school for calling another kid a Hanzo main. And the teacher was like, I don't know what that means, but it sounds like an insult, and I'm sending a letter home to your parents. Now, the funny thing about this is it's actually sparked this conversation about like parenting styles, right? Like some people have said, I don't see what the big deal is, and other people have said, well, no, it makes sense that she did get in trouble for that. Just this idea that you don't want kids to resort to name calling, regardless, right? Like whether it's actually an offensive name or if it's something like you're a Hanzo main, right? Like as hilarious as that must have been for the parents, as you can see by these tweets. It's just, you know, like, well, how do we teach this kid that she shouldn't insult people anyway, even if it's funny? But I mean, to be honest, if my kid was sent home with a note that said you should punish your child because they called somebody a Hanzo main, I'd feel a little bit proud. Like, there's something really oddly pure about that. I think just like a little kid trying to think of the most insulting thing they can in the moment, and they call the other person a Hanzo main. Mwah. Speaking of Overwatch, any of you who have been waiting around for Orisa to actually join the game, she's going to be released next week. In the whole timeline of everything, if you've done any reading about Orisa, I love her design. I think she's super cool. And in the timeline, she's the only hero, like the way that they're pitching it is she's the only hero that doesn't have a past. Really, you know, like every other character that you play in Overwatch has this like sordid past as part of Blackwatch or part of or what, you know. So it's kind of interesting to have this character, Orisa, who's like a brand new hero. She's like just showing up now. And she's like a cute centaur robot. I love her. A lot of the response to her since she's been in the PTR has been pretty positive. I mean, it has the same little bumps that every character has, right? When Ana first came out, everybody was like, don't play Ana, she's garbage. Orisa has had a lot of problems as well. You know, she's hard countered by the same things that all of the other tanks are hard countered by, so everybody's getting a little bit frustrated because they want to see, you know, tanks that are able to put up with different things in different ways. But the way that they've pitched Orisa, again, is that she's kind of more of like a sit there and stand her ground kind of tank, the way that Reinhardt is. So people are trying to figure out, you know, like which times does it make sense to use Reinhardt, which times does it make sense to use Orisa, like what are her strengths? And it's only with a lot of play that people are gonna figure that kind of stuff out. This happens all the time in pretty much any fighting game, any kind of a game that has, you know, like specified heroes. There's gonna be a period of time where either everyone's saying they're overpowered or everyone's saying they're garbage. You know, it's always one or the other, because either the other players haven't figured out how to counter them, or the other players haven't figured out how to utilize the new character correctly. So it's just interesting. It's always interesting to see a new character get involved in everything. Like, I love seeing Anna played a ton, and I'm sure that, you know, with a few tweaks and like figuring out how she fits into the world and the system, Orisa is gonna be a really cool character. I hope, because she's so cute. Dungeons & Dragons is finally entering the modern era. And what I mean by that is, you know how there are all kinds of unofficial third-party apps and things that help you make D&D characters? Well, they're making an official one called Dungeons & Dragons Beyond. To which a lot of people responded the way that I just did with, really? Now? I mean, better late than never, right? You can have the exact same thing on your browser and on your tablet and on your phone. If you're on your phone, you have your character sheet up, you can like just kind of easily flip between all of your different abilities and things. The only issue, which isn't really an issue, but the only issue at this point is like, you know, there are lots of apps that already do this. And if you have everything inside of an app that you are comfortable with, the likelihood that you're going to swap over isn't super high. D&D Beyond is specifically for 5e, so keep that in mind as well. I do know that a lot of people like 5e, but there are still people who are, you know, running 4-point games and 3.5 games. And I think if they were able to have it so that, and I realize that this is like a brand new thing and they're, you know, I need to give them a hot minute to figure out what's going on. But it would be cool if in the future, you were able to like choose which version of Dungeons & Dragons you're playing, and then it would kind of adjust stuff. I think that would be cool. One benefit to everybody having done this first, because I think when 5e came out, they were talking about doing an app, right? Like there was supposed to be a companion app that came along with 5e, and it just didn't wind up happening, and I don't know if that was a miscommunication with the company, a falling out, no clue. But one huge benefit to them kind of sitting back and letting other people make apps that do the same kind of thing is they were able to look at a bunch of them and see what works, like what's really nice, what people really want out of an app system like that. And I think that aesthetically, at least, it's exactly what a lot of people want. The benefit of being able to be on your laptop and looking at your character sheet and then be like, okay, I'm good to go, and then pull out your phone and see the exact same thing on your phone is good. I love it. There are lots of different companies that have started trying to do this sort of a thing where it really is just fluid between all of the different sort of systems that you can utilize it with, and it's smart. It really does make it so that using your app is easy. And the last thing you want app usage to be is hard. Hi-Rez has been working on it's like a Smite spin-off that basically looks like Clash Royale called Smite Rivals. It looks exactly like Clash Royale, in my opinion. It looks exactly like Clash Royale, but it turns out that this game is actually being put on hold, perhaps indefinitely. We made a decision this week to put Smite Rivals on hold. While we are still excited by the general concept of Smite Rivals, it was clear after early testing that the game needed significant additional development before releasing. With Smite Tactics, our turn-based strategy game set in the Smite universe, performing well, we have decided to focus our energies on that for the time being. Yeah, so the studio that was actually making Smite Rivals for hi-rez got pulled from the project. Nobody's really sure why. Just like in that quote, they're saying, really, we just want to focus on our other spin-off because that's doing really well. I don't know what really well means. I assume it means like operating on a profit as of right now. But yeah, they just decided to sort of put this off to the side for now. And whether they just thought it wasn't gonna work or there was a dispute, we don't really know. Either way, I think, I think a lot of us were looking at Smite Rivals and saying, ooh, okay, well, Clash Royale is very popular. So how are you gonna make this compete, huh? Because it looks just like it. Pretty much identical. I guess Clash Royale is only 2 lanes, and Smite Rivals is 3. So I'll give you that. For those of you who love Crypt of the Necrodancer, or even those of you who just really love the music, Look, I get it. Their DLC Amplified was put on early access in January, and they've now added a huge patch that actually helps out the modding community a little bit. The patch is 2.42, and it adds in a hard mode that is very hard. Like if you read off what it entails, it's just extremely difficult. But something that's really cool is they have a modification system inside of Crypt of the Necrodancer, and you're actually able to mod the way that different rooms work. And you know me, anytime a developer is like, you know who are cool? Modders. Warms my little heart. Yeah, the new hard mode has enemies that fill the rooms. The majority of rooms have an enemy spawning sarcophagus that's immune to weapon damage. Exit rooms have 2 mini-bosses. Rooms have no trapdoors. And rooms are moddable via the game's customization suite. There's also a new character named Diamond who's adorable, and new items and all kinds of other stuff. So if you're part of the early access and you haven't checked it out since the drop, you should go ahead and look at it. Let us know how it's all working. And if you didn't know that Amplified existed, now you know. And as a final bit of news, there is a really weird conspiracy that has to do with Resident Evil 7 that people will just not let go. And if you haven't finished Resident Evil 7, if you're still working on it, you haven't seen the end, I'm gonna put a little skull, or rather Erin, our lovely Erin, because she's editing this, she's gonna put a little skull right in the corner here. And as long as this skull is up, know that I'm talking about the end of Resident Evil 7. Okay? When this skull goes away, we'll be doing the bye-byes. All right? Okay, cool. So there's a character named Chris Redfield that's in the Resident Evil series. And at the end of Resident Evil 7, a dude drops down and is like, "What's up? I'm Redfield." And everybody lost their minds because he doesn't look exactly like Chris Redfield from the other games. So there was this huge conspiracy being like, no. That's not really Redfield. It's all a ruse, which I get because it's Resident Evil 7 and it's designed to just like mess with you, right? So right at the end there, you have a character who looks nothing like Redfield being like, "I'm Redfield." And you're like, no, you're not. Even despite the fact that they've announced DLC for Redfield, everybody's like, "You mean fake boy?" So here's the explanation, straight from the Resident Evil 7 director, Nakanishi. He says, "If we were to put in the CG model of Chris that we've used up until now, it would feel like dropping in a character from a completely different world and the illusion would be broken. His head and his body don't match up with an actual human, and the way the character's data was made was completely different. So because of this, we looked for a model, we redid the character by photo scan, and Resident Evil 7's Chris was born. The model's name is Jordy Dandy." That is a delightful name. But I honestly don't think this would have ever happened if it wasn't Resident Evil 7. If it wasn't like a Resident Evil game, you know, a game that's just meant to mess with you. I don't think that this ever would have been an issue because character models get changed all the time. You have to, you know, as graphics like develop, and yeah, you can still look at the past character and be like, well, let's make him look kind of like that. Their decision to completely redesign Redfield is not unusual. Like it's not like that's a thing that never ever happens, right? But I think because it was Resident Evil 7, everybody was playing the game and they were on edge at the end of the game being like, "It's over, it's finally over." And then they see this dude claiming to be Redfield who doesn't look like Redfield. Everybody was like, nah, this is all, nope, I can't with the lies anymore. So rest assured, if you're somebody who has been in all of those secret underground forums talking about Chris Redfield and how he's actually hunk and how Chris Redfield doesn't exist anymore, or, you know, whatever else it could potentially be, they've confirmed that it is Chris Redfield. Not saying this couldn't continue to be an elaborate ruse. I might even be in on it. Think about that. Okay, we can take that skull away now. But anywho, that's been my show. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a positive or a negative response, feel free to leave it in my comment section. And if you would like to watch my Twitch streams, you can find them at twitch.tv/dexbonus or at youtube.com/dexteritybonus if you would like to watch the VODs after they've already happened. If this is your very first video, thank you so much for watching. If you think that I'm worthy of a subscription, I would appreciate it. But otherwise, I just love that you're here. Thanks so much, guys. Please check out Box Talk if you haven't already. We would love for your feedback on that. And I'll see you guys next time. Okay? Bye-bye. Mwah. I can't with the lies anymore.